Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. And that's right, guys. I'm running it back again with my Colts jersey because we represented. So now I need to see how we're gonna do this week because we running it back. I'm that guy that's a little superstitious. You see what I'm saying? So when something's working, I definitely want to make sure that it's working. You know what I mean? I want to see. I just want to see. So this week we got a crazy show. So we're gonna go over last week's games. Of course, we're gonna talk about this week's games, but a lot of stuff happened. A lot of teams that you thought would be in the playoffs lost a lot, and now we got to see what that means. And for this one, a lot of teams that you thought were like done or not going to make the playoffs, they in the picture now. So I got my man Tazar coming on. I'm about to bring him in right now, and we gonna see how this turn out. You know, I'm very excited about this episode. I'm very excited about this episode. Yup, Tazar, welcome to the show, cuz.
What's up, cuz?
Listen, man, it's been far too long, man. We missed you.
I'm a missable person. What do you say?
Listen, I just want you to know, I'm sure in my life you didn't think I'd say that one time in this whole lifetime.
Oh
That's
man,
it, man. That's how big you've been for us. You know what I'm saying?
oh man,
Listen, I came ready for you today. Listen, I just want you to know I came ready for you. You know what this is. You know
oh
what
my
this is.
god.
I came ready
Yeah,
for you. I
it's a
know.
dish rag. I see you got a dish rag on.
You don't be disrespectful, okay? Don't you ever. Don't you ever. But no, I was just telling everybody about the show and how we're gonna do it. And I'm real excited about this show. I think this is about to be a crazy show.
Absolutely.
So listen, man, we're gonna jump right on into this. Let me just get right over to so last week it was a bunch actually it was more games last week that I thought was going to be good. And there was some games that changed the trajectory of how of how we thought this year was going to shape out. Now we got a lot of questions and we got to get into it.
I'm down. I'm ready.
All right. So first game, the Denver Broncos go into was it in the Browns? I don't know. They beat the Cleveland Browns 29-19. All right. So Dorian Thompson Robinson, that's a name right there, boy. He was 14 of 29 for 134 yards and a touchdown. And PJ Walker came in for a second when he got cracked. I don't know if you saw that play, but he got cracked. It was it was a lot. Jerome Ford had 9 carries for 65 yards. And David Njoku led them with 6 receptions for 59 yards. And Harrison Bryant, boy, they got some names out here. Harrison Bryant actually caught 1 reception for 2 yards, and that was the touchdown. Boy, did he get lucky. So Russell Wilson is 13 of 22 for 134 yards and a touchdown, no picks. Javonte Williams had 18 carries for 65 yards. What's his name? Samaje. Yes, Samaje Perine had a touchdown, and Russell Wilson had a touchdown rushing. And Cortland Sutton led them with 3 receptions for 61 yards. And Adam Trotman caught their only touchdown. So there's a couple things that I want you to know, and I'm real curious to hear what you got to say. The Broncos winning this game, and don't say too much because both of these teams are going to roll back in to another segment. You know what I mean? The Broncos winning this game. What does that mean for them? What did you think about the game? Talk to me.
Um, this is to me, it's like a non-consequential game. The Broncos are second in the AFC West. They needed it. There's questions with Sean Payton. There's questions with Russell Wilson. There's a lot of questions on the team. The defense. Sometimes Russell Wilson shows up and the defense doesn't. I, I mean, I don't. I didn't have them making the playoffs. I know your homeboy probably did. Your one dude's a
Yeah, he
Broncos
did. I
fan.
know. In the beginning of the season, I did too.
You did.
Yeah, I didn't think that like when the season started that like last year. I thought last year was a little bit more of an anomaly than what was to be expected. This just I'm saying was my thought process. And when you add in Sean Payton, who's like a Hall of Fame head coach, I was like, there should be a lot of stuff stabilized. So that was my thought. But continue.
I all right, like, don't get me wrong. Sean Payton, he's solidified, but like when I don't look at the division by itself, right? So at the beginning of the season, everybody has the Chiefs going back, right? Then when I look at, I mean, you're a big fan of the Jaguars. You had the Colts going, right? Um, then I thought it was going to be the Bills because I didn't know about the Dolphins.
Everybody did.
Uh, but then I know my division typically has at least two, if not three, teams that can make it. So when I looked at that, I didn't even think of a second team from that division making it. Like the Broncos, I mean the Raiders. I feel like they could have been a playoff team depending on how healthy Jimmy Garoppolo was. I think Jimmy Herbert has the tools to be a playoff quarterback, but it just isn't panning out. Like I personally think the Broncos is the weakest team in that division. I want to be a Russell Wilson fan. He's the type of dude you want to date your sister, but it's looking like he was a system guy in Seattle. That's
So, okay, so I will say about Russell Wilson, he has managed this and he has stabilized the offense. Now, I'm not saying his numbers been crazy. I'm not going as far as to say he's in the upper echelon of quarterbacks right now. But what I'm saying and what he actually did do, I do feel as though he's been a stabilizing force in why they've ran off 4 straight wins and got
here's
back
my
in
issue, right?
the playoff race.
When Teddy Bridgewater was there and he did the same thing, he got no kudos, right? I don't know why Teddy Bridgewater never gets any love, but he was a pretty decent guy for them there, and they got rid of him. Russell Wilson, for much more money, is doing the same job that Teddy Bridgewater is, but we all want to love Russell Wilson because he has a Super Bowl. Like,
Oh, I don't love him. I don't love Russell Wilson, but what I am saying is, so all right, so that's not a straight up argument. So Russell Wilson has a track record to say this is what it is. He had already gotten paid a lot of money. If you're saying we're talking about a stock, you would put your money in a situation where if we're talking about a quarterback that has thrown for a lot of yards, that has a Super Bowl and stuff like that. If you're making that comparison to a guy who isn't making a lot of money with no track record to basically say he is the, I mean, you take that chance.
aha, I got you. You don't take that chance by your math because when you take the salary cap into consideration, Russell Wilson makes too much money to win another Super Bowl. Teddy Bridgewater, by your math, is the guy you go with because now you have the funding to go and secure those other positions, which would have made perfect sense. Teddy Bridgewater is a journeyman. I believe he has the ability to be a starting quarterback because every time he gets a chance, except for Carolina, but no one's working at Carolina. Every time he gets a chance, he doesn't look terrible, but he never gets a full shot. So he looks great in comparison to what they're allowing him to do and who they're giving him to do it with. Like when Drew Brees went out a couple years ago, Teddy Bridgewater was solid.
Yes.
When he got to the Broncos, Teddy Bridgewater was solid. Everywhere Teddy Bridgewater goes,
yes.
except for Carolina.
Everything you said was facts right there. Everything that you said was facts, except for one thing you're omitting. I never said the Broncos was winning the Super Bowl.
No, I'm not saying they win
so,
the Super Bowl.
So all I'm saying is with either one of them quarterbacks, I didn't think that they would win the Super Bowl.
I agree with you there. I don't think with either one you're going to win a Super Bowl, but I think if you have Bridgewater, you can bring other talent so that you got the bridge to your next quarterback. Because with Russell Wilson, you can't get free agents, right? And you're not going to get draft picks. So what are we really doing? Like, are we filling a stand?
So in their head, they're saying we're trying to win a Super Bowl. That's what they're thinking. That's the answer to what John Elway and all of them, when they put all that together, were thinking. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. So whether that was right or wrong, that's for them to figure out. That's the GM's job to figure out if that's right or wrong.
And to me, it would have made perfect sense. You have Teddy Bridgewater and you bring in Sean Payton, married. You mean like, but they didn't do that. They like half stepped it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you said, all right, just like you said, Teddy Bridgewater has not been bad. He hasn't been bad when he was in Miami. He wasn't bad in New Orleans. He wasn't bad in Denver per se. And of course in Minnesota when he got drafted, everything.
But he wasn't bad there either.
I'm saying he hasn't been bad, but Russell Wilson through his career has been good.
what I'm saying
That's
is
the difference. That's the
what I'm
difference.
what I'm saying is we tie him being good to a system because as we can see, Geno Smith was out the league and look, he already broke Russell Wilson's one season passing yards record. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Well,
it,
Gino had a great year last year. Gino had a great year.
so it's looking to me like it could be the system because Russell Wilson is part of it, but you had the Legion of Boom and you had Beast Mode. I mean, like, so Russell Wilson gets credit for a lot of things, but when you have a great defense and a great run attack, like you're in a win-win situation.
So when you say he looks good, yes, he looks good right now. He also got the opportunity to come in where those weapons were young when Russell Wilson had them, and now they're developed. I'm not taking anything away from Gino and we did last year. I didn't see that coming. He played way higher than what we all thought he was. But look at him now this year in the same system. He doesn't look quite the same. And they have been sliding, and now we got to see, I mean, where they turn to next. Do I think that Geno Smith is the quarterback to get you out of that? No. To answer your question, even to go forward about what you said about Russell Wilson, did I think even after what we saw last year in the beginning of this season that Russell Wilson was now the quarterback to do that? No, but he is doing it right now. And until he falls off or the wheels fall off, you kind of got to ride with that. So
I wouldn't roll with it for all that money, but I feel you.
All right, well we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to your Baltimore Ravens.
Let me
Your
have it.
Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens beat the Chargers 20-10. Let's see what happened here. For the Chargers, Justin Herbert. I always give the losers stats first because they lost. You say the best for last, and y'all won. So Justin Herbert was 29 of 44 for 217, one touchdown, one pick. He also led them in rushing with 4 rushes for 47 yards. Keenan Allen had 14 receptions for 106 yards. Every once in a while, boy, Keenan Allen reminds you he's real good.
Not every once in a while. Keenan Allen is a problem this year. Like, I
It's
think he
on
might.
and off. It's on and off. But hold on. Let me just get through it. Gerald Everett had a touchdown, also for them, and the Ravens. You can jump right back on what you was going to say. Lamar Jackson was 18 and 32 for 177 yards, one touchdown, no picks. Keaton Mitchell led y'all in rushing with 9 carries for 64 yards, and who the heck is Isaiah Likely? Where'd he come from? He led y'all receiving with 4 receptions for 40 yards, and Zay Flowers had the touchdown. But go ahead. I want to hear what you wanted to say, what you had to say about Keenan Allen and everything.
Keenan Allen, for what he does and who he is, he doesn't get that respect and he doesn't get the flowers. He's an older receiver, but I just want to let you know this. He leads the league in receptions right now with 97 because he's shorthanded. He might not be the fastest guy anymore, but he leads the league in receptions. He's number 2 in yards with 1,100 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like number 5 or 6 in touchdowns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in touchdowns with 7, right? Tied for 6 with 7. And then like it's just mad other stats like 20 plus yards. He has 18. That's fourth. You know what I mean? Like Keenan Allen, despite him being 75 years old, like
he's second in receiving too. Yep, second in receiving yards.
Yeah. He's 31 years old and he's no one's ever going to put him in their top 10. But by the numbers this year, he's a top 5 receiver.
By the numbers this year, yes, he is.
But you'll never hear him in that conversation. No one's ever going to be like.
So it's not all the way his fault, but he ain't never been in the playoffs. It's the same argument, and it's funny because I was listening to Brandon Marshall. No matter what he did and how much he did, like believe me, I'm a Colts fan. I watched him go 150, 180 on 10 catches, 11 catches, and like 3 touchdowns. I've watched him do that. He never went to the playoffs.
Oh wow.
He never went to the playoffs. So Unfortunately, that's not all his fault. And
I,
what he said, no, but like
I'm gonna
he would never
blame
go to the playoffs.
I'm gonna blame Brandon Marshall more than Keenan Allen because Keenan Allen is loyal to the soil. He's been on one team, right? Brandon Marshall jumped around to a couple different teams, and he had the opportunity to pick a playoff capable team, but he chose the money.
Yeah, but so Brandon Marshall for me has been the answer to what I feel as though some of the problems with some of these wide receivers are. And that's the truth. Like Brandon Marshall, because like people, I was having this conversation about CeeDee Lamb. I know we're jumping completely off topic. We're going to be quick with this. I was having a conversation about CeeDee Lamb and when the Eagles played him and he had 151 yards receiving and a touchdown. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes there's defenses that it's to our benefit to have that wide receiver. Give him all the catches because you're not focusing on everybody else. So give him all the catches because you only go and get one touchdown out of this. So get 150 yards and one touchdown, not doubling him. That's my problem. With somebody like Brandon Marshall, that 10 catches for 150 yards is going to put up 21 points. And that's a problem. So for me, like as much as you want to say you're right about that, and that's actually a pretty good conversation for another day. I do think the fact of the matter is Brandon Marshall was that guy. You know what I mean? Is basically say if you don't stop him, it's 21 on you. Where
Right.
sometimes Keenan Allen, I can get it, but they both didn't make the playoffs ever. So I get it. So either way, talk your shit about your Ravens real quick. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So, as I said, we're gonna live and die with the health of Odell Beckham Jr., right?
Yes, we knew that coming.
My team, we have 3 losses, and all 3 losses, they were close games, no blowouts. We shouldn't have lost to you guys, but I'll let you have that. You know what I mean?
But you know what you did.
My, my man Lamar Jackson, as advertised, he's come and he has the second best record in football.
100%.
He's not putting up a whole lot of yards, but Mark Andrews has been injured. Odell Beckham Jr. has been injured. Zay Flowers is flowering. He's blossoming right in front of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's a every down receiver. He's a possession receiver. Now we have injuries at the running back position. We don't have a dynamic defense, but because that team, like
but it's good. It's solid.
It's solid. The one issue we're having is closing out games.
I said that in off season, pass rush.
Yeah.
That's the one flaw of that defense, pass rushers.
We lost to the Browns 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was a last minute thing.
Browns, Steelers, and Colts. That's your losses.
Yeah. 2 divisional losses, but you everybody kind of splits the division games. I mean, we're gonna get the next one because it's not gonna be what's the quarterback? He had one good game this season is against us. Deshaun Watson. I like my team. No. I think we have the best kicker. And I can concede that we don't have the best quarterback. But if you got Lamar Jackson anything less than tier 2 as far as quarterback goes,
you got a chance with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you always got a chance with Lamar Jackson. But like at the beginning of the season, at the end of last season, there were the haters saying, "Well, he's not a real quarterback. He's more of a runner than a quarterback. He doesn't stay in the pocket." They had all the hate in the world for him. Well, let's face facts. My man is showing and proving, and he still doesn't have the talent. Like I would put him on the same level as a Hurts. I would put him on the same level as a CJ Stroud. Honestly, CJ Stroud might be a smidge better than him. I'll put him on the same level as Trevor Lawrence.
No, not necessarily. No, you can't say that yet. You can't say that yet.
Oh, about Trevor Lawrence.
No. I'm talking about CJ Stroud. And I went on record like apologizing to CJ Stroud because I thought he was gonna be a bust. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah. But you're saying that because CJ Stroud has carried the Texans don't have a lot of talent.
Anything.
Lamar Jackson did that. He did that.
Yeah.
He did that with the Ravens and did that. So like you can't really say CJ Stroud's better now. Lamar Jackson has been put through the finger.
I'm saying those 4 guys are tier 2. You know what I mean? Like I think it's Mahomes, and I think it's Lamar, Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, and I might even put Tua on that level. And then we're
What? No, not you too. Not
listen,
you too. What
listen.
are you talking about? Don't you do that to me. Don't you? No,
Tua,
he's not, man. Come.
Tua is a dynamic passer.
Are you crazy?
I'm not crazy. All right, so I can't be mad at him because he has talent on his team. Because I sat here and listened to everybody talk about how great Joe Burrow was, but Joe Burrow has probably one of the top 3 receiving cores in
Don't
football.
do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. All I'm saying, all I ask is that you not put Tua there based off of everything. There's a lot of reasons behind it.
I said I might. I said I might, but
He's not. No, he's not. Listen,
my tier 2 right now is Lamar, Trevor Lawrence, Hurts, and C.J. Stroud, and creeping up there, like, because I told you this year, this is going to be the make or break year for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to lose one of those weapons, either Boyd, Higgins. You're not going to pay both of them because next year you have to pay Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So he's losing something. They still don't have an offensive line, and that injury that he played through, he probably should have sat his ass down. You know what I mean, like,
but I said that, and I said that out of concern because I wasn't even being funny when I said that. But when it came to Joe Burrow, I watched what happened with Andrew Luck. I mean, of course I did. When you didn't give him offensive line, you keep in mind when you say what you say about Joe Burrow, he won a playoff game and got sacked the most amount of times ever in a playoff win. He got sacked, not hit. I didn't say how many times he got hit. He got sacked 9 times and won. That's outrageous. So how many times he got hit? So what I'm saying is Joe Burrow does things like that. Okay, where he's is that stabilizing force. The Dolphins are not winning because of Tua. Hold on. If Tua was a free agent today, the market for him would be small.
I can believe that.
If Joe Burrow became a free agent today, outside of maybe 3 teams, they would all give up their quarterback to go get him.
You said 3?
3 or 4.
I'm gonna say it's at least 6 teams that wouldn't go get him.
The point I'm making is, all right. So if we played that game alone, if Patrick Mahomes, I don't have to go there because like pretty much every team would give up. If Josh Allen was a free agent, most teams would give up something and go get him. Joe Burrow is in that list. Hurts is in that list. I would say Lamar's in that list. I wouldn't say. I
don't think so because after this past free,
I would say Lamar's in that list that they would. I mean, he's an MVP in this league, you know.
He is, but they kind of slighted him last year because when they didn't sign him, I would have thought that. Me personally, I thought in my head he was going to Atlanta. I thought,
yeah, but
Atlanta said they're going to stay with Ritter.
But that's what I. No. That's not this. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. What I'm saying is there are a lot more. Because I'm talking about Tua. There's a lot more quarterbacks. If they became free agents, there'll be a market for them. If you pay Tua, if the Miami Dolphins play Tua, that they pay him like top of the league money, it's going to be the worst decision they ever made.
I mean, he's concussion free so far. He's concussion free so far.
He ain't getting paid nothing so far.
You're right. Wait, shouldn't he be getting paid right now?
He ain't getting paid. Yeah, he's on his rookie deal.
Yeah, but didn't him and Hurts come out the same year or no?
No. Him and Herbert came out the same year.
Oh, okay.
This year's is their contract year.
Okay.
I mean, we could have a whole philosophical conversation about GMs and picking a quarterback as opposed to the quarterback and all this kind of things, where that mistake is, how you get here. But I'm telling you, their run is going to be short-lived because they're going to overpay for Tua. And I'm telling you, he can't carry nothing. So don't put him. Do you remember before Tyreek Hill got there and when Jalen Waddle was a rookie, he didn't look good. It wasn't nobody saying that pick looked great. It was he wasn't carrying nothing. He got all this crazy talent. Now his defense looks like this. Yeah, of course they 8-3.
I mean, it seems like everybody in the league's 8-3 right now, except for my Ravens. You know what I mean, and the Eagles.
Y'all 9-3. Shut up. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm moving on. We talked about your Ravens long enough. All right. So let's go into the Jags. They evened up the season with the Texans, and this was a real good game. For a minute there, I was like, "Ooh, Houston about to sweep Jacksonville," but Jacksonville pulled it out. Good for them. So
I will say this: the Texans are coming. You know, remember how in Game of
absolutely,
Thrones they kept
absolutely,
saying winter is
absolutely,
coming? The
absolutely,
Texans are coming.
yes. So CJ Stroud was 26 of 36 for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was 26 of 36. That's efficient. Okay. He also led them in rushing with 6 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown. And Nico Collins led them receiving with 7 receptions for 104 yards and a touchdown. And Tank Dell also had a touchdown. Yes, the Texans are definitely coming. The Trevor Lawrence, he was 23 of 38 for 364 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Travis Etienne had 20 carries for 56 yards. Trevor Lawrence actually had the rushing touchdown. Calvin Ridley led them receiving with 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. And Christian Kirk also had 89 yards, just no touchdowns. So I want to say this. So I had my brother on the show, and he said that Jacksonville was going to be like the number 1 seed. He said this in the summer that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be like the number 1 seed and stuff like that. What do you feel about them? What do you feel about this game? You said that the Texans are coming. You know what I mean? Talk to me.
Listen, I'm a believer in Trevor Lawrence. I liked him in Clemson. And he's getting it from the mud. He had this is his 3rd season, right?
Yes.
He had 2 rough seasons. He wasn't gifted a team that had all the talent in the world. I like his coach. I like his coach. I like Trevor Lawrence. They're building something there.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel sorry for him because DeMeco Ryan, all the way back to his playing days, he knew where the ball was going. He had like that intuition. The way that defense plays, it's a DeMeco Ryan-led defense. And that's one thing that the 49ers are trying to make up for. That's why they went and got Young from the Washington Commanders. What DeMeco Ryan can do with his vision of the field and his knowledge, it's translating to his team. And it did last year because the 49ers weren't as talented last year, but they got shit done. This year, they're running into bumps, and they had to go get a whole nother superstar on a superstar-studded team to make up for that lack, when DeMeco Ryan's left.
Chase Young's not a superstar.
Huh?
Chase Young's not a superstar. He had his first 2 years, he had superstar, but like he got injuries and stuff. He's not a superstar right now. He's a name. He's not a superstar.
He's a superstar. To be the number 2 guy, you got Bosa on one end and Chase Young on the other. Come on, man. That defense is solid.
I hear you.
Like that. Who all right, the Chargers. I don't know many teams that have 2 bookends like that. To me, coming to mind right now is just the Chargers.
All right, keep talking. I'm thinking. Keep
Exactly.
talking. Dallas kind of, if you want to count Lawrence and Michael Parsons.
Michael Parsons is better on the one hand.
The Eagles, but the Eagles don't have bookings, but they got like 3 pass rushers. Like 3 legitimate
that's because they got a defensive tackle that can pass rush.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they got like 3 legitimate pass rushers though.
Do you think it's better than the 49ers pass rush?
No.
Since adding Chase Young to that team, they have 15 sacks. That's crazy.
I mean, he's good. I'm just saying he's not a superstar, but go ahead.
He's gonna be a household name on that team. Um, I I like the Jaguars. I like everything about the organization. I even like their colors. But them Texans, is going to be a fucking problem.
That's a fact.
And they don't have no super high draft picks next year, but they got a lot of money. No one's getting paid.
Absolutely.
And they have matter of fact, they do have some they got extra draft picks because they got picks from Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland. And Cleveland may not be that good. So they might get 2 mid first round picks, and it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, listen, you ain't said nothing wrong with everything that I'm saying. Just like them, but I think their defense is comparable in some ways to like your defense, talking about the Baltimore Ravens defense. I think it's like a little less talented, but like they don't have a pass rush either. I think this is basically a question of can they outscore everybody that they play, without having a closer on that defense, So I think in the long run, yeah, this is going to be bad, but I don't think they're going to be a number 1 team. And honestly, depending on who they play in the first round, I think they could lose in first round.
You talking about the Texans or the Jaguars?
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not even set in stone that the Jaguars get that seat. Like right now, that I think they're 1 ahead. Let me see. But yeah. All right, so they're 6-5 is the Texans, and the Jaguars are 8. Oh, okay. But the Texans the rest of the way, they're playing the Broncos. They can beat. They're playing the Titans twice. Divisional team.
I don't know that they're going to beat the Broncos yet.
I said they can beat.
They can. They can lose that too. I don't know.
They're playing the Titans twice. I feel like they should win both of those, but it's probably gonna be split. They're playing the Jets. I mean, like, it's not like they're playing the Chiefs and the Eagles. They have some. Their last games are all fluff.
But are you ready to look at them as a team and say, "Oh, I can start chalking up wins"? So, like when you say like the Jets, I mean the Jets did beat the Eagles. You know what I mean? So, like, are you looking at them and basically saying, "Oh, they're just definitely going to be able to beat the Jets"? Are you looking at them and saying, "Oh, they're just definitely going to, be able to sweep the Titans"? I mean, like, just that's all I'm saying. Like, I like the Texans. The Texans are coming. Or have they arrived yet? If they arrived, I feel like they would have swept the Jaguars.
They're 6-5, right? I can see them ending the season at 11-6 and be comfortable with that. I don't see them sweeping the last 6 games. I don't see them sweeping the last 6 games.
See, 11-6 is hard. Like I think we talk about 11 wins. I don't see. I see them being more like 10-7, which is like still might put you in the playoffs, which is great. But like 11 wins, bro, like that's different.
CJ Stroud has made me a believer. DeMeco Ryans has made me a believer. And
wins though.
I just want to do it this way. Let's see. I don't see the Patriots making the playoffs. I don't see the Jets making the playoffs. I don't see the Titans making the playoffs. I don't see the Chargers making the playoffs. I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs. Right?
Okay.
Now the only teams that you're gonna have to worry about is gonna be the Bengals, the Bills, the Broncos.
The Bengals aren't gonna make the playoffs.
Okay. So the Bills, the Broncos, and the Colts. No, that's who you have to worry about.
The Bills, the Broncos. I mean, you say that like it's like yeah, but yes, that's who you have to worry about. The Bills, the Broncos, and the Colts, because that puts you back into the 7th seed, unless the Browns fall or the Steelers just fall off.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this is the first time they've done this. This is, you know what I mean? Like the Texans ain't really rolled like this, where they're under the radar and overachieving. So it's hard for me.
Is Cardinals?
It's hard for me to say, look at them and say, all right, for teams that have been there, that they're just going to just roll like with 11 wins, bro. That's a lot.
We a game off from each other. I said it wouldn't be crazy if they ended 11-6, but I'm not guaranteeing it. But
but all right, when you say it's one game, right? All right, let's go from 10-7 to 10-7 to 9-8. That's probably out the playoffs. That one game is not out the playoffs. So like when you say that you're like one game better than that, that's
not in the NFC, because it seems like all them NFC teams suck.
We're gonna have to talk about that. We're gonna have to talk like that. Yeah, because that's outrageous. The bottom of the NFC, it's outrageous.
Look, the Cowboys are in at 4-8. You know what I mean? The Vikings are in at 4-8. Like, you got teams that already have 8 losses that are in the playoffs.
No, they don't have 8 losses. The Vikings have 6 losses.
Oh, I'm bugging. 6-6. Cowboys. Yeah. I'm looking at their competition. I'm bugging.
Yeah, they got 6 losses. The Packers have 6 losses. The Rams have 6 losses.
The Falcons have 6 losses, but they're leading their division. That's the only thing. But
yeah, and the Saints have 6 losses too.
Yeah, leading their division with 6 losses.
Well, unfortunately, they in the AFC. So the Texans, unfortunately, have a little bit tougher of a road of teams that they gotta be better than.
I think DeMeco Ryans gonna have them ready. Yes. DeMeco Ryans was a problem when he was a player. And as a coach, like, it was quiet last year, but the 49ers, they didn't give him a lot of credit because the team was talented. Proof's in the pudding.
I understand that. All right, well, we're gonna hold right there for 1 second. So Philadelphia Eagles beat the Buffalo Bills 37-34 in an overtime thriller. That was a good game. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It was a great game.
It was a good game. I'm not gonna lie to you. So Josh Allen was 29 of 51 for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Josh Allen also led them in rushing for 9 carries for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Gabe Davis led them in receiving with 6 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. And Stephon Diggs also had 74 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts was 18-31 for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. DeAndre Swift had 14 carries for 80 yards. And Jalen Hurts also had 14 carries for 65 yards, but 2 touchdowns rushing as well. And so you're counting for 5 touchdowns. Jeez Louise. And then Devontae Smith had 7 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown had 5 receptions for 37 yards and a touchdown. And I don't even know how to say his name. Olamide, some other guy, had 1 reception for 29 yards and a touchdown.
Olamide Zacchaeus.
You are a smart man, I tell you, boy.
I'm just pretending like we reading the Iliad and back in high school. You know what I mean?
You are a smart man. You feel me?
Oh man.
So this overtime throw. So let me switch it up. Let me tell you what I thought about this, because what I have to say is pretty short. Once again, this is probably the 4th game this year that the Buffalo Bills should have won that game. So their inconsistency once again bit them in the butt. And also, I think right now, for me, I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP of the league. And it's not because of his numbers, because his numbers aren't crazy. For me, it's the fact that they're 9-1 and they lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator last year. They're the number 1 seed they have the best record in football, and they lost both of their culture setters, because you know what I mean? We talked about this. When you're a quarterback, you don't talk to the head coach. You talk to the offensive coordinator. That's the person in your ear. When you want to defense, these checks and changing stuff and saying, I don't like this, and when you give your discrepancies to the defensive coordinator, that's the culture. So losing both of them, the stabilizing forces have clearly been Jalen Hurts. and that's kind of MVP of the league for me. But that's all I got to say about that. Go ahead.
I can't argue with you about him possibly being MVP of the league. I mean, he's beat everybody else that you can name on that list. He beat Mahomes, he beat Allen, he beat Dak. Did they play the Dolphins? I think he beat Tua.
Yes, the Smith.
Anybody else that you would name, you're literally only doing it out of spite. They're winning, and again, you're right. He doesn't have crazy numbers, but like, I mean, he's still winning. You mean like I don't know how else to look at that. Like, your quarterback touches the ball 50% of the game. So your quarterback kind of dictates whether you win or lose. He's winning. I mean, he does have a super talented team around him, but I I would have to say he is the front runner for the MVP. If not him, I honestly I don't know. A lot of Mahomes is the easy
That would
choice.
be the only other person I could really honestly make an argument for.
Yeah, Mahomes is the easy choice. But I think the league is sick of that. I know some people say Christian McCaffrey because he's looking like the
Yeah,
most complete.
yeah, but he got some garbage time numbers. You know what I mean? Some numbers that didn't
Yeah,
add nothing. And when they went on that 3-game skid, he was there. And then and the other pieces that were going showed that they were like what was wrong with them. You know what I mean? So for me, Christian McCaffrey ain't the MVP.
uh, yeah, I really can't. Unless this is like one of those rare years where it's a defensive player that's the MVP. I mean,
I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
yeah, I can't. I mean, there's a couple weeks left, so maybe he does fall off. Maybe people figure him out. They have a 5-game stretch that's going to be unheard of. But I'll go with you, Christian McCaffrey. I'm not Christian McCaffrey. Jalen Hurts is the MVP right now.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that was a crazy, crazy, crazy week 12 in the books. All right. So now we're going to get to the topic at hand. So after these games, once again, I told you, as I said to everybody, there's some teams that you expected to be in the playoffs that have lost a certain amount of games. And now it's looking like they won't be in the playoffs, and it's a shocker. And then there's some teams that you look at and say, they in the playoffs or in the playoff picture, period.
Why are you talking about the Falcons like that? That's rude.
I'm talking about a lot of teams right now. And how it looks right now, like they look like they're gonna go to the playoffs. So the fact that this big swing of the pendulum happened, what does it mean for these teams? So I'm gonna go actually I want to start in the NFC because the NFC really wasn't I think it's worse. So I'm going to name the teams and then we'll just go in team for team and say, what does it mean right now for them? Where are they standing right now? You know, are they going to miss the playoffs? Are they going to make the playoffs? You know, these kind of questions are coming up. So in the NFC, you got the Vikings, the Packers, the Falcons, Saints, and Bucks. And I put them together. I should have just said NFC South because that is some bullshit going on down there. Um, and yeah, so let's start with the Vikings. The Vikings actually lost this week. They are, if the playoffs started right now, they'd be the 7th seed. They're 6-6. Kirk Cousins is out for the year. What's up? What does this mean for the Vikings? Well, what should they be doing?
I think the Vikings need to stay the course. They had already we had this talk we had this talk beforehand, right? They got one of the best receivers in football, right? They found this diamond in the rough. What's his name? Dobbs? Is that his name? Dobbs?
Yeah.
He's a fucking rocket
Right.
scientist. Actually, a rocket scientist. I like him a lot. But we did see we did see the fact that he's not perfect. Like we saw that this week. Um, I I think the Vikings need to stay the course. I mean, if Dobbs is your future, you already have your receiver. Now you can build. You got rid of a receiver a few years ago. You got rid of a running back this year. Like, but your team is still solid. I think they just need to stay the course. If Dobbs takes them to the playoffs, he takes them to the playoffs. If Dobbs doesn't take them to the playoffs, he doesn't take them to the playoffs. My I said this, and I think you disagree with me last time. I think that Kirk Cousins isn't it, right? And because you don't have a quarterback, during no point in having that wide receiver there. Like you need to hold him, hold his ass for ransom, and build off those draft picks that you get for that receiver. Um, but if Dobbs is your guy, then you can go right. There is no rebuild mode. You were in the playoffs last year, I believe, and
We've seen this. We've seen this from the Vikings before. They had what's his name when they went to the Energy Championship game, the game the year the Eagles beat them in the and they won the Super Bowl. I
yeah,
forget.
was
I
it
forget.
Kyle Orton?
Nah, it wasn't Kyle Orton. It was
It was someone like that.
Case Keenum. Case Keenum. Like I don't think that Joshua Dobbs is their guy. That's all I'm saying.
I He probably isn't. I like him. I like his background. I like the fact that he's a journeyman. I like that he's so intelligent that he won his first game as a Viking, as a Minnesota Viking, without ever having received a playbook. I like the fact that he's a rocket scientist and he learns systems in 30 minutes. Like you have quarterbacks that play with a team for 3 years and don't know the system.
All right. So this is where I'm at with the Vikings. All right. So they lost last week. So the next two games are the Raiders and Bengals. Not saying either one of them are very good. I'm not gonna say that they're going to beat both of those teams. So I kind of expect a loss in the next 2 weeks. Then they have Detroit, the Packers, who will need that game, and then Detroit again. I see one, two, possibly three more losses for the Vikings, and I think that they like you know what I mean. They probably needed to win this game. If they'd have beat the Chicago Bears, then I'd be like, okay, they got a real chance to come in. But I still see the situation where they come out of the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I do see them. I don't see them making the playoffs, but if they did, I wouldn't be upset. If they don't, there's no skin off their teeth because they have draft picks. I Dallas might not be their guy, right? But at where they're sitting now, they probably won't get him in the draft either. So Dobbs will have to be their guy for another year, and I'm okay with that. Like I like Dobbs. I like how he plays. I like he he's controlled. He's cerebral. Like, and he's a fucking rocket scientist. You can't not like that story.
No, I got you. I just see. I'm just from. See, you got a quarterback coming in this draft, and he's going to be like an all time talent. I'm of the mindset you go give that team whatever it is that they want to go get that quarterback. That's my thought.
What quarterback are you talking about?
The guy from USC. Um,
He said he might not come out this draft, right?
Depending on who he goes to.
Yeah.
It depends on who he goes to.
I mean, he's playing for USC. He might not like the cold of Minnesota.
Caleb Williams, that's his name.
Yeah.
They play in a dome.
He might not like the outside of Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like outside the dome.
All right. So moving on. So then you got the Packers. So the Packers' upcoming schedule, because they're surprisingly one game out of the playoffs. The Packers got the Chiefs this week. They got the Giants next week. They're home against Tampa Bay. And then they have the Panthers, the Vikings, of course, and then the Bears. What do you think? Are the Packers any threat at all to you?
The Packers any threat? Um, I don't think they're a threat, but I really do like Love. Like it's kind of the same exact story with Aaron
You're
Rodgers.
the first person I heard actually say that. And I get it. I get it. I said you might be the first person I actually heard say that. And I get it. I just haven't heard anybody say like I like Jordan Love as a quarterback.
I do. He his numbers are similar to when Aaron Rodgers started. His circumstance was similar, where he sat on the bench, and learn. Um, I feel like he's. I feel like he's like a blue collar guy, and I like hard workers. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I don't have any issues with anything he's done so far.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay. So for me, um, I just think it's such a tall task for them because I think they're going to lose like this week. You know what I mean? So now it's like, all right, do you trust this team to basically run the table? So for that reason, I don't think that they're very much of a threat, to be honest with you. So it's a little too late. But we're going to move on, and instead of just going through team for team, because I really don't want to talk about the NFC South teams, but whatever. Do out of these teams, so you got Falcons, Saints, Bucks. Who do you think is the biggest threat? Is there any variables that we don't see with that? Who you think that is the biggest threat, and who you think is going to fall off, and anything?
Um, I think the biggest threat is the Saints, and I said this at when we did the predictions at the beginning. We went through the divisions and we had predictions. I still think the Saints have a super easy schedule. I just want to pull it up real quick. And when you have an easy schedule, like, that helps you. So they got the Lions, the Giants, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Rams, and the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all these teams can be beat. Will they win all of them? Hell no. But if they get through that team 4-2, if they get through these teams 4-2, I think they're solid, and they're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs.
I agree with that. I honestly, I really couldn't say any better myself. I pretty much feel the same way. Um, yeah, you know what I mean. I knew eventually he was gonna start listening to me. I
Oh
knew
my God.
eventually because just like you said what I was gonna say. Eventually, I said, "Yo, he gonna just listen to me, and we gonna be all good. His life's gonna be easier and better." You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I rubbed off on you a little bit.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I I just want to say I predicted Saints at the beginning of the season, and it's on camera. So
No, we're good. I did too. So it's all good. It's all good. Changes nothing. All right, let's jump over to the AFC. So the AFC teams, we got uh Buffalo, the Chargers, the Broncos, Colts, and Texans. Of course, the biggest name on this list is the Buffalo Bills. What does this loss mean for the Bills?
it means they're fucking human. You mean, like, because for
I,
some reason everyone says Josh Allen, he's the greatest. Now, let's point this out. The Eagles game went in overtime, right?
Mhm.
Josh Allen. I mean, Jalen Hurts had an interception, but he plays a style of football that can't be mistake free, right?
Mhm.
Or it hasn't been mistake free. Josh Allen, I feel like, plays the same exact way as Jalen Hurts, but that interception that he threw, I feel like you're gonna get more scrutiny because, like, you could have won the game, like those 7 points mean something. On the other end, Jalen Hurts isn't gonna get all that scrutiny because he won. He threw an interception and he still won. You threw an interception on, I think it was like, they were close. They were in the red zone. He throws his interception. The team got deflated, but I mean they kept battling. But I see that the Bills aren't who most people say they are. You know what I mean, a lot
Mhm.
of people are Josh Allen fans. Oh, he's the second best quarterback under Mahomes, or just random nonsense. He's super talented. He's big. He's fast. He's strong. He has a cannon, but
Turns the ball over a
he
lot.
does every time you need him to win, he doesn't.
Right. So, all right. So I think a lot of people are saying the Bills are done. I don't think the Bills are done necessarily. I actually think once again we even both said it at 10-7 or yeah 10-7. I think you could get into the playoffs. They have 6 losses.
Yeah.
Now, when I say necessarily, here's why: they got the Chiefs this week, and then they got Dallas next week, and then they have the Chargers after that. It's not that I think the Chargers are world beaters at all, and I don't think they're making the playoffs either. But we'd have to look. So I think the Bills can drop one more game
One more game and make the playoffs.
and make the playoffs. I think they could drop one more game, but one more game, and they got and I'm looking at the Chiefs who have their number, Dallas, and then the Chargers, and they might fall. You know what I mean? They could beat the Chiefs and the Bills, which I don't. I mean, they could beat the Chiefs and the Cowboys, which I don't think they will, and lose to the Chargers. So that's just kind of how they've been. So we'll see. And then they have the Dolphins in week 17, but I don't think that's going to matter because I don't think Miami will need that game. To be honest with you,
Miami might not need the game, but I think it's principle because no team must be swept by the rival. One, and two, you kind of want to make that statement because when so, hold on, let me start over. I feel as though the Dolphins are a problem, and they're especially a problem for the Bills because it's a divisional game. The Bills already beat them once, and you don't get to bite the same apple twice. You know, maybe the Bills do win based off the fact that they'll need it, and the Dolphins will probably be resting players, but
okay, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I understand what you're saying. We'll see. All right, cool. Let's sprint over to the Chargers. We're gonna make this one real quick. Are the Chargers gonna make the playoffs? Yes or no?
no,
Okay. Are they gonna fire anybody at the end of this year or anything?
I I hope so. I sure as hell hope so. Like it's a lot of good people losing their jobs. A lot
Yes.
of good people losing their jobs. And the Chargers, if we had this conversation 2 years ago, Herbert is ascending to me. And although he has every tool,
Different. That's a great point. Now you can kind of see. I don't know. It might be him. He may not have the it. He has all the talent, but he may not have it.
I think he has the it. I think part of it is coaching and part of it is personnel. Like I said, Keenan Allen.
It can't be personnel. It can't. I'm sorry. I look at the Chargers roster and I'm saying, yo, if you just wrote it down on paper, that's a Super Bowl roster. I know we're watching what's happening right now, but like if you wrote it down on paper, the names, the wide receivers, the bookend pass rushers, the safety, that's a Super Bowl roster.
Is it though?
Well, clearly not, but I'm saying if you wrote it on paper. I'm saying if you wrote it on paper. Yeah.
All right. So who's
There's a
who's
lot of quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterbacks. Are they not a Super Bowl contender if Patrick Mahomes is over there?
if Patrick Mahomes was with the Egg Harbor Township Eagles, they're a Super Bowl contender, right? Like I don't do disrespect.
If Jalen Hurts is over there, they're not a Super Bowl contender.
No,
Yes, they are. Man, get out of here. I'm like, listen, we got to move on for time's sake, but I know that you know.
2 seconds. Jalen Hurts, we haven't seen him without an uber talented roster. We've seen him with a lot of talent, but Herbert doesn't have the same caliber of talent. And Jalen Hurts this year is doing things. I guess the defense is comparable because they have the bookends, but at the end of the day, Keelan Allen, even though this year his numbers stack up to it, Keelan Allen would be a number 3 receiver over there. Maybe even 4 because they got Julio Jones. Like Austin Eckler, which for many years he looked like, all right, let's keep this guy and get rid of the what's his name. But he's clearly not this year. You can see that the
Yeah, but
production.
he's had him for these years that you're referring to. He had him there, and he had Keenan Allen, and he had Mike Williams, and he had Derwin James, and he had the corners, and he had the bookend password. I'm not going with this, yo. This is a talented roster. This is a talented roster.
I, I'm
The
simply
GM did his job. On this
I,
roster, the GM did his job.
I'm simply saying, and I don't think me personally, I don't think the GM did his job with this roster because they gave up draft picks to get Khalil Mack, and it doesn't look like it's working.
But you said he
Like
was a bookend. You don't remember? You said that just like 10 minutes ago. You said he was bookends, and there's only one other team with bookend, which is San
I,
Fran. You said
me
that.
me me personally, yes. Book San Fran has the bookends and the production's there. When I see this Chargers roster and I look at it on paper, like you said, it looks one way. But when I see it in the games, I don't see the Khalil Mack like influence that the Khalil Mack that left the Raiders and went over to Chicago and everyone thought he was going. I mean, like I don't see that. I don't see his impact like when he was with the Raiders with Chicago. And with Bosa on the other end, I feel as though I should see even more Khalil Mack, and I really don't get the Khalil Mack that you know what I mean. Like, how many sacks does Khalil Mack does Mack have?
Um, let me take a look. He
Let's see.
has he has he has 12
Four
sacks.
forced fumble.
He has 12 sacks.
He has 13 sacks. You're right.
He has stop it. Stop it. Stop
You're
it.
right. My
Stop
bad.
it. Stop it.
My bad.
I'm tired of hearing it. Herbert is on that list, just like with Brandon Staley as the problem. Okay, he may not have it, is what I
You're right.
said.
You're
I,
right.
I said what I said. He may
I
not
take
have
it. I
it.
take it back. I take it back.
I guess very mature. All right, moving on. Denver Broncos. I'm gonna take the lead on this one, and you can follow up. So I think this win absolutely positively puts the Broncos back firmly in the playoff scenario. Will they win it is we'll see. But this week they got the Texans. Next week they got the Chargers. Then they got the Lions. Then they got the Patriots. Then they got the Chargers again. Then they got the Raiders. I think for me, if they win, if they beat the Texans and the Chargers, I would actually go as far as to say they're going to make the playoffs because then I think they would lose to Detroit, but that's in another conference, so that there's no tiebreakers uh with that. You know what I mean? So if they so like I want to see them the next 2 weeks, but they won four straight, and I want to see how they finish up I mean the next. If they get to six straight, I'm gonna look at them as a playoff team.
If they get to six straight.
They won four straight games. So if they win the next two, that would be
Okay. I thought you meant like the
listen, I
last.
know it's late. That was just simple math. I ain't do no calculus,
Nah,
no
but
algebra, no differential equations, or nothing. You see that?
I was thinking that if they you said six straight, they got 6 games left. I'm thinking in my head that you're saying that they're gonna win the next six, but you just said they
That's
weren't.
not what
So
I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But if
yeah,
they get the next two, they will have 1-6, and that will give them momentum, I think, necessary to do what they got to do. You know what I mean? Because they're also a team that they got one game that they can drop.
yeah. I mean I don't see anything wrong with that. I personally don't see them in the playoffs. Um, Sean Payton, the offensive guru, whatever you want to say, I don't think he's as good as they as advertised, and they're gonna find out in Denver. Like I said, and Russell Wilson, since he's been in Denver, looks like Seattle was a system that he thrived in.
That's
Like
fair. So that's
not
fair.
the,
You're saying no means nothing, and I'm saying pause. Let's wait and see on that. I'm with that. I can live with that. All right, cool. So now we got the Colts and the Texans. Um, actually, the more I think about it, and we were just talking about the Texans, and I'll take that one first. I actually think that they're going to end up missing out on the playoffs. I think they where they are now, who they have to jump, them having to, not, I mean they have one more game they could drop too. I think 10-7 is if 10-7 is fair. I think they lose more than 7 games.
Uh they lose more than 7 games.
Mhm.
Let me see. I just want to see one thing.
Or they're at 10-7, and I think, like I said, if Denver wins the next two, I think they get to 10-7. We're going to talk about the Colts next.
So
And then,
you
then you got the Bills, and we'll see what happens with them. So I just think
you think they can only win two of the next let me see. The Broncos, all right. So they can only win 4 of their next 6 games.
Mhm.
I think the Browns is out. I'll take one of the Titans. Um, I think they could beat the Jets, and your boys suck. They could beat the Colts. Like, I think they make the playoffs. Me personally, I think they make the playoffs.
How dare you? We're gonna talk about them right now. Okay, so you think that win means something, and you expect them. So you expect the Texans to be in the playoffs.
Yes, I
Okay.
think
Okay.
I think they're the only bubble team that can make the playoffs.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we know what you're saying about my Colts, but go ahead and talk your spew about my Colts.
Your Colts are the last playoff team,
Right. Yeah,
and they
yeah.
will not make the
Playoffs started
playoffs,
today, we would be in the playoffs.
and they will not make the playoffs.
Okay.
I mean, like I like the Colts. I like Minshew. I like Richardson. I like your running back. I mean, it's a complete team. I just think they need a little more seasoning. Like next year, it's probably gonna be their year. They're gonna come out strong. They might lose their first game and go on like a 6 or 7 game winning streak. That's where I see your Colts coming from.
Okay. So this is what I'll say because we're gonna spin this up because we gotta finish this up real quick. Um, we have to beat the Titans this week. So we beat them earlier in the season. We have to sweep them.
Uh-huh.
If we beat the Titans this week, then we got the Bengals, then we got the Steelers, and I'm not sold on the Steelers. Then we got the Falcons, Raiders, and then finally at the Texans, which is shaping up to be a crazy game. Um, I'm saying if we beat the Titans, we we may not lose another game.
If you beat the Titans, let me look at this.
The only other game that I could see us possibly losing is that Steelers game. And I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Well, I mean I gotta agree with you. Like when you look at what they have left, win, 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 and yeah, like you guys are in the playoffs. It's gonna be tough for the Texans to make the playoffs, but you guys are in there.
So like I don't think, but once again, if we lose to the Titans this week, then I think to act like we just run the table after that, I think that's a stretch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it does start with the Titans this week. All right, cool. So stay with me. Stay with me. Let's do this in 5 minutes. We're gonna pick these week 13 games. It's gonna be quick. We're gonna get this done and it's gonna be dope. All right. Browns versus Rams. Now, here's what I will say. So let me give you my pick. I actually think the Rams are gonna win this game.
They have to.
And what that means now for the AFC and the NFC, that swings the pendulum even more, because now the Rams are looking at this and they're saying, "All right, we in just as much as anybody else, and they could take that 7 seed." You know what I mean? So I think that's what it is. But I do think they beat the Browns this week. Like I said, I think they still got a Super Bowl winning quarterback. However you feel about Matthew Stafford, they still got a Super Bowl winning coach, and I think that matters.
Quick question. If
Yeah.
if they all right, if the Browns beat the Rams, no, if the Rams beat the Browns,
Then the Browns would have 5 losses.
Okay. And then the Rams would jump over who to get to playoffs.
I don't think they would jump anybody yet because they would
Okay.
have 6 losses like everybody else. But
Yeah. All right.
so who you got? Who you got in this game?
I got the Rams. I mean, Deshaun Watson's down. Um, I I don't know. I mean, they got a great receiver. Aaron Donald's super strong. All that sounds good, but I I gotta go with the Rams. I can't see the Brown. I mean,
So we agree on that. So we agree on that.
I can't see it.
Okay.
Like who's gonna be playing quarterback? I don't know. You don't know. The head coach don't know. The GM don't know. The president don't know. You know what I mean? Like
I'm saying so easy
Cleo
enough.
don't know that.
Easy enough. All right, cool. So then we got Cowboys versus Seahawks, which should be a good game.
I like it. Some hard nosed football. That's playoff. That's seeding in the playoff. They're both second in their division. I personally, I'll go with the Cowboys. Fuck it. I'll go with America's most hated team.
We're not supposed to agree. That's
All right.
the problem. The focus of the show is us not agreeing.
You gotta understand.
I'm
It's
going with the
it,
Cowboys. Going with the Cowboys.
it, it's two young black quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I'll go with the comeback kid. Give me DK Metcalf and give me Geno Smith because Dak is gonna mess it up somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't think this is the game for that. I think Dallas knows who they have to be respected, and I expect them to be that right now. In playoffs is a different conversation, but right now I do expect them to be that and continue to see Hawks slide, which would be another topic for another day. All right, so now we got Broncos and Texans, which turns out to be, you know what I mean, a playoff atmosphere game in itself. So who you got there?
You already know where I'm going. I'm going with the Texans. I'm going D'Amico Ryan and them boys. Listen, I'll go with the bar fight boys whenever it's ready. You got a bunch of no names. The replacements. That's what I'm calling the Texans. The replacements. CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans. I'm with y'all.
I'm with you. I hear you. Except I'm going with the Broncos on this one, boy. Are you crazy? Listen, the Broncos, they're more seasoned in this scenario. I'm looking for the Broncos to keep it going and keep not get 5 straight. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
CJ Stroud is going to show you that he ain't no system quarterback. Russell Wilson's a system guy. That's what it looks like. That's what it's been looking like.
I guess we're about to find out something.
Listen, we've been talking about this all night. I mean, like CJ Stroud and them boys is going to do it.
All right, cool. So the game of the week, Eagles versus 49ers. Eagles coming off that win against Buffalo because of course 49ers kicking ass every week. You know what I mean? Now that they went off of that 3-game skid, who you got in this game?
I live in South Jersey, and everybody is an Eagles fan, but I'm going 49ers. Going 49ers. To be 11-1 is very, very tough. And here's where the cerebral part comes in. The 49ers picked up the one player necessary. So the Commanders played the Eagles very tough. The 49ers go and pick up that player who has that experience, who's been on the field against them already, who has some knowledge already to even the odds. You're getting Young has already been against the Eagles once this year, and he looked great. I feel like that team is dynamic, and I really want the Eagles to win, but I feel like the 49ers are going to blow them the fuck out.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't see a blowout, but I kind of feel like I don't know. See, here's the problem. I don't think the Eagles lose this game and then next week at Dallas. I don't think they lose both of them games. But then my question is, what's more likely, them lose this game or them sweep Dallas? You know what? Fuck it. I'll roll with the Eagles on this one. because I think that's a hard task to predict that. And
you're gonna
yeah,
be real
I think
disappointed.
this is it. This is it. But this is the game we want to see.
Absolutely. It's going to be some rough and tumble play. This is a rematch of last year's NFC Championship game, and you don't get to beat a team constantly. You think they're gonna have trouble sweeping Dallas? You think they're gonna sweep the 49ers? Like that's back to back wins? Nah, they ain't happening. That's why they went out and got Young.
I guess we'll see. All right. All right, listen, man. Listen, you brought the heat today, man. Once again, man, you can't stay away so long next time. You feel me? You can't stay away so long. You toughed it out tonight. You know what I'm saying? We both over here. You know what I'm saying? It's a little hard right now.
Yeah.
Yo, man, once again, you already know, Czar, man. It's always good having you on, man. You always are welcome here. We want to once again thank you for being a part of our success and streamline and if not the biggest, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 people that has streamlined our success, and we've had big heights and bigger numbers because of you. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll have you on soon, and you know I love you, cuz. Oh, before we get to that, once again, check us out for the full episodes on YouTube and Spotify. Check out our reels. Our real game is popping right now on Instagram, Facebook. You know what I mean? TikTok, we all over the place. Czar, man, I love you like a brother because you don't know football.
All right, fam.
Just like Martin said, I'm gonna see you when I see you. Peace.
Oh, man.